Just the one. Yeah,
Interference, maybe?
yeah, that way. No, it needn't be that way. This is all being recorded, of course. Okay, so this is an interview. Oh, today is the 24th, isn't it, of the 11th of 2015, and this is an interview, and three of us are here, William and Ruth and Maura Cronin, and we're going to ask Joe Hayes to talk to us about pork butchering. In Shaw's.
No, sorry. I was in O'Mara's, actually.
O'Mara's. So it's Joe Hayes and it's O'Mara's factory. And anyway, off we go, I suppose. Joe, talk to us.
From the start, maybe when did you start working there?
Oh, I started there in 1962. And I was there until it closed. It closed in 1986. So I done my stint there. And done what I was asked to be to do. We worked on the kiln line, cutting line, cooked meats, as I explained the last day, baling. You had striking, which was taking the bacon out of the tank. I explained to you the last day. That was called striking. There's various jobs and various names will mean nothing to you now, like, you know. If the foreman came in the morning, he said, Joe, start the pocket. No, you said, I never got to start the pocket. All it meant was you broke the joint between the blade bone and the shoulder bone. You just broke that joint. That was start the pocket. And then the next man, then he'd have to chisel, and he'd chisel the bone and draw it out. That had to be done. Because if the blade bone was left in the shoulder would go stagnant. Because you had to put salt into that pocket in.
Okay.
You made a pocket, as they called it, in the shoulder, and you had a little device then to get the exact amount of salt every time into that pocket. You pick it up and you shove it, and the salt will stay inside. You take out just little and fill it again. And there's various jobs. What do you actually want to know about?
No, keep going. Tell me more.
All your memories, basically. Yeah.
Tell us more about the shoulder now.
The shoulder, the shoulder then, sir. You take off you had the shoulder with the hock in it, would be sold as that, and then you had the back of the shoulder, which was called the collar, and you'd have the collar bacon off of that. See, I explained to you the last about taking out the various bits and pieces, the pore stick and the lion bone and the breast bone and blade bone, and the back foot, the short foot. That was all done. But I said, when I went in there as a young lad, sir,
yeah.
As I said, I was with a man, he was 70 odd years of age, and he taught me most of what I had to do was butchering was concerned. He taught me how to sharpen a knife, how to steel a knife, and the saws and the cleavers, the whole lot. And it went from there. Then I just learned job from job. And eventually I'd be sent up to the cutting room, so if they were shot, I'd be sent into the gap. Same thing on the kiln line, I'd be sent into the gap again. Or I had my own jobs around as well. My main job was cooking hams. And any time they were shot, I'd come out, we closed the ham house for a few hours, come out and do what you have to do here. And that's the way O'Mara's worked. Everybody kind of works. We were moved from one job to the other.
What time did you start in the morning, Joe?
8. We started at 8 and finished at 5.
And Joe, just for a second there before we go on to the time of the day, the man that trained you in first, who was he?
Jack Scanlon.
Tell us a bit about him.
Jack Scanlon, Jack was a great man altogether. And Jack could do, Jack in his, I mean, he was in his 70s when I was with him, like, you know. But in his day, he could do the very same. He'd move from job to job, and any time that they were shot, he'd fill in. And he then brought me along. And then in my turn, I brought somebody else in. That's the way it worked in O'Mara's, you know, and everybody then could. Once you got used to, excuse me, once you got used to handling a knife, that was the basic thing. Get used to handling it, learn how to sharpen a knife, and look after your gear, look after your knife and steel. That was it. Actually, when we went into O'Mara's first, we got a pair of clogs, and you got a canvas bag, and you tied the canvas bag around your waist, and that was your protective clothing. That was it. And you change the bag, every day. You get a clean bag every day, but the old bag was used. To pack the bacon. There was nothing thrown away.
Everything was used.
Nothing thrown away. You got a pair of clothes every 12 months. And you looked after them, otherwise you were wearing shoes. And if you wore your shoes, the salt got into the shoes and they'd fall asunder after a week or so. Just fall asunder. But we just moved on from there to there then, like, and the crack was mighty. It's tough work, but the crack was mighty.
Yes.
I tell you a funny story, I don't know whether you'll be able to use this now or not. Jack was fond of a tibble, like, and he had a buddy there. I can tell you his name, but let me say you'll edit all this out. Mikey Callahan. Mikey was down in the wholesale shop, and on Monday morning there'd be no offal or stuff to be sold. So Mikey would be around, and he had a girl with him, so he'd tell the girl, if anyone comes in, look after them, you see. So he'd come up to Jack, well, how's it doing? And the two of them, hand in the pocket. And there was a side gate, you see, where we were working. They'd go up the side gate and up to McNice's pub, up the corner, through Tibbles. And they come back down then and they just shout in, Joe. So I'd be there working, and I'd pull them up. There was a little gap in the wall, they could stick the toe in, you see. And I'd catch the hand in.
And get a leg up.
No bit of wiser. But I was there one day, and I was cutting up the sausage meat, like, And next thing, I heard, Joe. So I dropped the knife, and next thing, I got a tap in the shoulder. It was all right. Jack O'Mara, big boss man. Up to the gate. Come on. He pulled the two of them out. Never run out of what said about it. I was at the theatre after they shot me. I was working there. My man comes along behind me, tapped me on the shoulder. All right, stay where you are. I'll get him. So that's the way it was.
So they got away with it.
Not a bother. There was two other men that worked together, all guys, Fledge and Terry. And their work was inside in the ice house. They were in the ice house all day with the bacon beds. And they were inside in the tank, and the pigs would come down after to get them cut, to come down and go into this tank. The tank would put about maybe 750, 800 size of bacon into it. And their job was they'd have to pile it inside in the tank and just put a little rubber salt along in the back. But every morning they never had a cup of tea. And across to the pub in the Bow at 10 o'clock tea break. And your man would have the 2 pints ready for them over on the counter. So they just go over, sink their pints, back into work. There was never a word said. Everybody knew, never a word said. Times were relaxed, like,
And what pub was that, Joe?
They just go over to Mick Hogan's pub in Fox's Bow. Bilkos we called it. And it's called
What did you call it?
Bilkos.
Bilkos.
Remember the show on the
Sergeant Bilkos.
Sergeant Bilkos in Silvers. The guy who owned the pub was a quartermaster in the army. And he retired out of the army. He bought the pub. So of course we all know quartermaster, Bilkos. And that the pub was known as Bilkos, and that was it.
Bilkos.
Oh no. And what was O'Mara like, the big man as you call him?
Jack O'Mara, he could eat the raw flesh off you. He was, really and truly. 5 minutes later, he'd be shaking hands with you. He was that kind of a guy. He said what he had to say, and once he said, that was the end of it. I told you about tomorrow, he caught me washing my hands at 10.
Tell us that again, I love that.
I was learning how to butcher at the time, and I was inside in the cutting room. And the chap he says to me, it was 5 to 10, one away, go down for a cup of tea. So I went out, and as I explained, there was 2 washing basins in the whole factory at the time. So I was washing my hands just at the top of the stairs to go down to put a cup of tea. And next thing, what are you doing there? Jack O'Mara again. What are you doing there? I was at the toilet and washing my hands before I got back into work. Now there was 2 washing basins there, and I tell you about the hygiene controls that was there at the time. So, go on. So when he was back to something, I went down the stairs, and that was it. So Sean, I'll be go to Sean, he was the secretary in the company at the time. And he comes down to me, And all the gang were there now. He was going, Joe, what did you say to Mr. John? They just call him Mr. John in the office. What did you say to Mr. John? I was anything. Why? He came up and he told me to go down and get a bedroom bill for you. Funny things like that happen, like, you know. But getting back to butchering, you start, when I went in there first, the pigs would come in and they'd be arrested overnight and you were killed in the morning, the following morning. But then that was changed and they killed the pigs as they were coming in. So it would be mostly afternoon. We start killing. What we do, the men sticking the pigs would go home at 12:30 instead of 1 o'clock for his dinner. It's dinner time there, it isn't lunch time that time at all. And he'd be back at 12:30. And the chainers, there was two men, chain, one would chain and the other was stunning. He has a stunner, an electric stunner. That when you chain the pig on the back leg and he'd go up in a heist and the man with the stunner then put the stunner behind his ears and knock him out before he was actually sticking. So they'd go home early at 12:30. They'd be back at 1:30. So the line would be up when we'd come back at 2 o'clock and you start working straight away on the killing line then.
Okay.
So you just come down, it took about 40 minutes from start to finish.
To kill the pig.
From when he was, as we call it, stick a pig, as we killed him. It would take 40 minutes from that job before it would be down the line and into the chill. So, and all the other jobs then were done. But a man to do his job, another man to do his job, like, you know.
And would they have some kind of a, what do they call the thing, you know, a choke for them to come in, a ramp like that, where they just went straight in to the chaining and the,
Which,
you know, the pigs, when the pigs are coming in now, say, from wherever they are, did they come
into the factory?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How did that work like?
You had 2 men down in the pig yard, as we call it. And the lorries would come in and you had they'd back onto the ramp and the lorry would back onto it. And they had a little, what do we call it? It was a prodder and it was just worked by battery. And that's just give the pig a prod and you get them up the choke that way. And they're going into the pig yards as well. They were all in styes, then you had different size styes. And you put maybe 20 pigs into each one. And then when they come to kill, they come up the ramp again, drive them up the ramp, up into the killing line, then was up overhead.
Okay.
And that's the way that was done. And you were a good one about the prodder. Chap that worked down the yard. He went over to Norsam's in William Street to get batteries. And he brought you over with him to get the batteries, you see. So he was over to the shop and this woman was there with a little doll. And she asked, you know, what's that for? I show you know, ma'am, he says, the batteries. Whack! The doll took off all over Norsam's.
It worked.
And the same guy in Limerick won the All Ireland, one of the 1973, one of the lads that played on the team was working in the shop. Sloan's was across the road from my mother's as well. What did your man do? The same guy now with the prodder. He had a green and white scarf around the pig's neck and brought the pig over to the shop.
Very good.
I was just your number one supporter, he says. The pig with the green and white scarf.
I said there'd be fierce caffling going on, would there?
Oh, there was. Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. There's always ball happening, like, always and ever, like, you know. But, like I said, it was tough work. It really was now. But the crew that was there were unbelievable, like, you know. He chap went into the office one day. He was passing up Thomas Street. And the curtain line was on that end of the building, like, upstairs. And he went up to Mickey O'Malley's office. And said, no, what was the party? Or was the party going on? We were all about me singing away, working away, singing away. And that was a party going on inside.
Brilliant.
We were just started. I mean, the chap at the top of the bench said it was a conveyor belt. And the chap at the top, we started singing. So everyone was singing.
What would you be singing?
Any old songs that was popular at the time.
Yeah.
My task was a party going on.
I wouldn't say that now.
And tell me that Ruth was just asking you about the length of the day then, and I cut in there. What was that? You were saying you were starting?
We started at 8 and we was finished at 5:30. And then the half hours we cut off after a while. We got a shot to working week, so it was 8 to 5. That was the working week.
Yeah.
And is that because of wages or what, Joe?
Well, you see, look, when I went in the first, it was always a 44-hour week. And when I went in the first, it was brought down to 42 and a half. And then over time, there was a half an hour taken off and another half an hour taken off. Eventually, we went back to 40 hours. So that was the time then, 8 to 5. But you're going, especially on a Monday morning, you're going, and everybody's ready. The job of this, as I said, striking. The bacon is in the tanks, inside the curing room, which is refrigerated, obviously. And you're going, and you'll be taking those sides out, one after the other. That was your job. You could be there from 8 o'clock to 12:30 or 1 o'clock. And so it wasn't a pleasant job, but it had to be done, and it was done. But what they do, in fairness, they try to rotate it. You know, if I was doing it today, say, I mightn't do it again for another month. Do you know, that kind of a, because they give everyone, it wasn't stuck, the two guys wasn't stuck with it all the time, like, you know. So.
Would you say they were decent employers? How would you look back now at them?
We got on well with the O'Mara's now, in fairness. I mean, you didn't get anything for nothing, like, you know, but they were fair enough. You know, I mean, it's when you're an employee, you'd pick holes, like, you know, but in all honesty, Jack O'Mara, that'll be good to him. I mean, he had kind of drawn back a bit when I went in there, which was his son, Michael O'Mara. He was the manager at the time. And when he came up, when I went up for the job, the way you just work it in the baking factories, especially if you were a butcher boy, what would happen was whoever would be, you could have an officer. So we had a president, vice president, you had a secretary, and you had the treasurer. They were the officers and the butchers, right? And you normally have maybe 2 Clover Mills, because that was the biggest factory. You'd have one in the O'Mara's and one in the Matherson's. So I was 16, so time to get him into the baking factory, like, you know. So the officer was there at the time, McFahey. He went up to Michael O'Mara and said, we have a boy, he's ready to work. So tell him to come up and see me. So I went up, and Michael O'Mara came down with McFahey, and he says, that's grand, you're so-and-so. You're John's nephew, my uncle John, he worked in O'Mara's as well, John Hayes. And you're John's nephew, I am. And tomorrow is Thursday. It didn't watch a while coming in tomorrow. Start on Monday. That was my interview. That was my interview for the job. And I'd done 20 odd years there. And that's the way it was done. You know, there was no such thing as getting forms to fill in or anything. Just come up. And if you liked the cut, you were supposed to say, okay, come in Monday.
Okay.
That's the job. So as I said, when I went in on the Monday morning, I was sent with my friend Jack Scanlon, and he looked after me for a year and a half, the bonus of 2 years, and after that then I was nearly ready to go.
So you knew nothing coming in, just you were trained up?
I was trained, yes, I was trained up. I didn't know how I had to eat my dinner even, to be honest with you. And as I said, you get it. The man that I was with, you're cut to me for the sausage house. You'd pack the plugs. The plug now was liver, lung, heart, and windpipe. That was the lung. Yeah. You packed those. That was the job. And at the time, you used timber boxes, actually. Jack Ryan, Jack the Cooper, we used to call him. He was a Cooper, but there was no need for Coopers anymore because the barrels were gone. But Jack was kept on, and he strapped the boxes, and he'd make the boxes, all that together, like, you know. And the 2 Jacks that I was in between, they didn't get on at all. So when we were ready to pack the plugs, Jack Scanlon said to me, go down and tell that fella we're packing plugs. You go down and say, Jack, we're going packing plugs now. Is that feeling good for him up there? And I was a young fella, name between the two of them, like, you know. So you pack the plugs, he strapped them, and then Danny Hughes, the club, would go to him along with his horse and his float up to the side gate, as I was telling you earlier on. And he come up, and I load the boxes onto the floor. And he bring him up to CIE. Everything was CIE that time, into the carriage above the CIE, and they were off.
And where were they going, Joe?
Excuse me, they all went to England. They were exported.
Okay.
Oh God, there was two companies. There was one, United Fresh Meat was one. Oh God, I can't think of the other one. And you'd pack them and you'd put a lump of ice into the middle bit. And that was another job that I had, to make the ice. And how it was made was, they had the brine that was used for refrigeration in the chills upstairs and in the baking beds downstairs. And it was flowing all the time. And you had a big tank, and I'd go up onto the tank. Once we put maybe that height, I'd go up onto that, and we had shapes. You put the shapes down into the brine and fill it with water. And when you needed ice, then you went down and you took out the shape, and you had your blocks of ice.
Okay.
So we made the ice when we were packing the plugs. At that time, but it means later on, they were packed as the livers were packed separate, the hearts was packed separate, and the lungs were packed separate, and we had the freezers downstairs, and you would fill the freezer with the boxes. They were handy boxes then. They were near, was it 20 pound weight, I think, in a box. Okay. And they were all packed into the freezer. And when the freezer was full, the container would come along, the whole lot would go into the freezer then, and they were off. So that's your livers, hearts, and spleens. They were the export ones.
And what did they do with them over in wherever, United Company or whatever?
There's a big population over there. They ate them, obviously.
But you know, like liver, yeah. But spleen, what would they do with spleen?
Spleen, no, but they'd obviously use them.
Yeah.
They would obviously use. They could have used them, say, in a product. So put it into the likes of puddings or luncheon rolls or whatever the case may be. Actually, I was below me, had around the place working, and I was buying pork off a chap, and he came along with the pork forelings, actually, the shoulders, and he had barrels of lungs inside in the van. And I said, "Where are you dumping the lungs?" "Oh, see, I'm not dumping them at all." "What are you doing with them?" says I. "Oh, they're for," I won't tell you the man's name, "they're for a client." "I said, what with them?" says I. "He puts them into puddings." "What?" says I. "He puts lungs into puddings." He does. "Oh, Jesus." "No, thanks. No, thanks. We wouldn't use that at all." "No, you couldn't." "No, we wouldn't use it anyway, but other people do."
Yeah. God, just,
you see, the big factories, they won't waste anything.
Yeah.
Waste nothing.
And you're supposed to, it's all meat, really, but you
meat,
think about it in a different way, don't you?
No, hearts and livers, no
Liver is
problem.
lovely.
No, it is, I love liver.
Like liver.
I love liver, to be honest with you. And,
What about kidneys? What did they do with
kidneys, all the kidneys, what they done with skirts, you had the skirt on the rib. I was showing you the other day, Ruth, along the rib. The skirt was along the rib. So all I should do was nick that and rip off. And one brought that lint, and they sold the skirts and kidneys together. They were used for stews. People use them in stews or skirts and kidneys. We fried kidneys. You could fry the skirts too, but they were mostly used in stews, like, you know. But any kidneys, the shops. That time you had loads of huckster shops, and they'd all be up to the factories for their piece of offal, few kidneys, skirts. And there was one woman across, Mrs. Black, and I never ever heard of her. She had a shop over in Rochester, and all she was interested in was pork steak. She couldn't get enough pork steaks. Whatever clientele she had, they were all eating pork steaks. And Mr. Pork steaks was that was a very expensive cut that time, like, you know. Nowadays it isn't that expensive, like, no, but that time it was. So that's how it worked. Everything was sold. As I said, that was one of my jobs as a young fella, washing the pig stores and curing them and bagging them, and like that again, Danny would come along with his float, take them all up to CIE, and they'd be flagged up all around the country.
And were they sent off raw? They were.
Oh, the wood,
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
Cooked somewhere
They'd be
else,
cured, you see.
Yeah.
And how you just test the pittle to make sure that the pittle was made. You get the barrel, you fill the barrel, and you put in your bag of salt, right? And you mix it, you stir it with a shovel. And how make sure that it is strong enough? You throw a toe into it. And as your toe sank, you'd be adding salt. If the toe floated, pittle is all right.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So there's little things like that, like, you know. That's,
Joe, can I ask, where did the pigs come from?
they came from various places. They're all pig farmers. They had contracts with the big farmers.
Yeah.
Like, you know, unless we know, a lot of them came from Kerry.
From Kerry, okay.
Yeah. And they'd have their contracts, and they'd have pigs on stream all the time, like, you know.
And is this from the pig buyers or the commissioners?
No, there's people that deal with the contract. They have a contract with the pig farmers there, and he supply. And then, of course, there was an awful competition there between factories. There was a lot of factories there at that time.
Yeah.
And I mean, for talk's sake, O'Malley's was given 50 pence a pound. Denny's down in Tralee was I'll give you 51. You know, this kind of affair. There was always competition there like that, like, you know. But they still managed to get a handful of pigs to kill anyway.
How many a day?
I was just wondering.
We used to kill, when we finished, we were killing 1,500. But what they do is you kill 750, and I think it was Tuesday. You had 2 killing days, you kill 750 on each of those days. That gave you time then, like, to get them burned out and get them cured, and get the other work done in between, you see. So that's the way it worked. When I went in there first, they could have 300 on Monday. No, they never killed on Monday that time. We'd have 300 maybe Tuesday. Could have 400. It could be up and down that kind of way, like, you know. But in the latter end, they worked out to a T, 750 and 750. And you started working early in the day, started killing early in the day, and you just have them done for the day. You killed 180 an hour. Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's what you killed. And when we were getting the pigs into cured and taking out the bones, that was done at 80 an hour. So that was a slower job than the killing. Three pigs every minute.
3 minutes. Wow.
Yeah.
Sure, I suppose they didn't know what was happening to them. Really.
I should never did.
Did you? I was an awful. Did you ever feel sorry for the pig?
No.
No.
I tell you the gospel truth. I was sticking pigs one day, and this was before they started the stunner to come up live, and they'd be kicking, like, you know, and you'd be judging to cut with the knife, like, you know, at the time. We'd just pick him up, and there's quite a lot of budge all of him, and I went to stick him up next, and they picked him up under the chin. He got me. Well, you dirty rotten kids, I say. You won't kick anyone anymore. He nearly floored me.
Getting his own in first.
I'd be up about that height off the floor. And the lines be higher, obviously, like, you know. And pig would come up in the highest. And stick him, I'd call stick him. With a long knife, pointed knife in here. And you cut the jugular behind there, and you just bleed, and that was it.
That's a real skill, though, isn't it? I mean, how would you learn it, like?
The man who taught me how to do that now was actually Jack Scanlon's brother, Mick Scanlon. And Mick would only be sticking pigs, if the stickers, who would stick pigs at the time? Eddie McMahon used to stick pigs at the time, did he judge? There was a few people just stick pigs, just in case, like, you know, just somebody missing, you'd have to have somebody to do it. But I was above with Mick, I was a young lad, like, you know, and Mick was showing me how to stick pigs. Amazing, he'd stick maybe half a dozen pigs. There you are now. There you are, off you go. Huh? Well, stick a few now, and let you take it back off me then again, like, you know, because you could do damage. If you didn't get it right, the knife will go under the rib cage, and that would all get bloodied in, the blood will go there, so you'll be losing. It costs money, you have to take off the bloody part, you see, so you had to get it right. But I was above one day with me, I was young, and there was lads came in, young girls actually, and they were doing a thesis and this, and they were standing and they were looking up at us, both like that, and Mick stuck a pig, you see, and he turned around, he looked down, and he got the knife for that. No, he didn't lick the knife, but they thought he was licking it. He put the knife over it. The youngsters, they were gone. See, the fellas, they were always up to different. The old fellas, the young fellas, the old fellas are worse than the young fellas up there. That was it. When you say you had nearly families working there, like, you know.
Yeah.
And you said Jack, no, you had Jack, Mick, and Ger. They were three brothers, three elderly brothers now, like, you know, that work together. There's another family. There's one of the names there. There was four brothers, all worked in the Maras at the same time.
Okay.
Four of my brothers worked in Clover Meads. My father, my sister, she married a butcher. My eldest brother married a butcher's daughter. So we're all tied in, like, you know.
And tell me about the union then, Chad, the Poor Butchers' Union.
Society, yeah.
Society.
The
Oh,
society.
tell me, why did you call it that other than...
It was called, as I said, it went back to the time of the big strike in 1890, and they weren't unionised as such at the time. So after that strike, I think the strike lasted for 7 weeks or something like that. Now you had no strike or social welfare pay or anything that time, like, you know.
Yeah.
So eventually, as I said, the Bishop of Limerick, Bishop O'Dwyer at the time, he mediated and got the strike started. Then they decided, right, we better get organised. So then they formed the society, the Port Limerick Poor Butcher Society, and that's how that came about. And as I said, ever since, that's it. They wrote the Mass in on the 15th of August every year, since 1890, and it's still, to this day, they're still going on, like, you know.
That's because the settlement was on that day,
Settlement
was
was on that day, on the 15th of August, yeah. And they decided, right, we'll have that day. And the factories were closed, the butchers took the day off at their own expense. We were never paid for that day. But the girls saying that they'd be at work. They'd have them in, they'd have them cleaning around the place, whatever had to be done, like, you know. But the butchers took the day off. And there was one chap worked in Clover Meads. He wasn't the butcher at all, but he was one of us. We kind of adopted him, like, an uncle. And he was and the day before, the 14th of August, Pat Hamilton was the manager in Clover Meads, and Pat comes down the factory, and an uncle was below, and he says, "Now Patrick," he was his name. "Now Patrick," he says, "I want you in here tomorrow." He says, "You're not a butcher." And the uncle says, "I'm a bastard butcher." And I'm taking the day off, and that was it. Because I don't know a hell of a lot about Clover Meads, except the fact that most of my family worked there.
Yeah.
And Mary, you know a lot of you know everybody working there, like, you know. Which, as I said, if you sneezed in Clover Meads, you know about it in the Maras, and vice versa, like, you know. Oh, so-and-so's in trouble up there. What did he do? That's it.
When did it start to go downhill, Joe, do you think? Or did it?
I think myself, Patterson's were the first ones. They stopped killing pigs in '67, and they were struggling for a long time, like, you know. And they had a problem with their cannery then as well. They had contracts with Dunn stores, and they couldn't get any more. The price was gone up, but they couldn't get any more money off the Dunns. So they were in Queer Street there as well, like, you know. But they continued in. They went out to Watch House Costs, and they had a place there. They used to make sausages and brawn. That's sausages, puddings, and brawn. That was all they done. So it was mostly girls that worked out there. You had a few men doing the heavy work, like, you know. And the girls were wrapping sausages, and but that closed in, you know, was it 85 or 86? It closed. But I think myself, I might be wrong, that when you went into the common market, the writing was on the wall. Because before that, we were self-sufficient. We were exporting. But when we joined the common market, the Danes, the Dutch, the French and the Germans could import as well. And they were importing bacon. A better price, I presume, because they were more advanced. And that put pressure on the bacon factories then. And that was the demise of the bacon factories, in my opinion. When I went into O'Mara's first, there was 35 or 36 bacon factories in the country. I said, there's hardly half a dozen now. So that's the way it went.
And could you see it happening, when you were there?
You could. You see, what year was it? 1966. They were trying to bring in bonus schemes into the factories. I said, this is the start of it anyway. Now, I was young, I was only 20 years of age at the time. I said, this doesn't look good. But they wanted the older people to retire then. And they were trying to get the older people to retire, so we had murder down there already, what they offered. I mean, so there was no pensions at the time, and they offered it was £3 a week pension. You see? And they offered a lump sum of £30. That was a lump sum. So we had it up and down and in and out. There was 10 of us left go, 10 of the younger fellas left go then, because the older fellas weren't accepting this thing. So we left O'Mara's on a Friday evening. So we were working in Clover Meads on Monday morning. The whole lot of us. Not working in Clovers, but eventually anyway O'Mara's got things sorted out. There'd be no more negotiations until we were brought back down to O'Mara's. So we were in Clovers about maybe 3 months or thereabouts. So the O'Mara's sent for us to go back down. So we all left Clover Meads and went back down to O'Mara's again. And then we came down, I think what they done then with the older people that retired, they gave them 300 quid of a lump sum, and they varied the pension and your service. You see, so we weren't having that. We said no way, as people would move from factory to factory. Like ourselves, and we were left go. We got a job in Clover Meads, and we wanted the service in the 3 factories to be counted. They could have done 5 years in Matterson's, 10 years in Clovers, 20 years in O'Mara's, or vice versa. So eventually anyway they said, okay, we put all the service in. So they got their few pound pension and they got their 300 quid. 300 quid, God bless us. Sounds nothing now, doesn't that?
No.
But that time the wages is only about, Jesus. I got married in 1970 and my take-home pay was £12 a week. £12. So that was going to go back into 66. So the wages that time, which was 7 or 8 or 9 pound a week. That was it. Yeah.
And I suppose it was seen as a good secure job, was it initially?
Oh, Jesus, it was. Oh, no doubt about it. So that means O'Mara's was there 147 years. So the bacon factories. The 4 bacon factories, they all opened in the early 1800s. Denny's was the first one to go.
Oh yeah.
Then Matterson stopped killing, as I said. Shaw's left in, I think it was around 1950, and Clover Meads took over. And they just carried on. Clover Meads actually made it a bit bigger than it was even, but you could see, I don't know, it's hard to see it, but once one started going, it looked bad for the others, As I mean, Limerick bacon was famous at one time, but I mean, in prices, it was all about price, a penny here and a penny there, and if as we came out, said one time for me, if something comes in for a pound, Joy says, it has to go for a pound and penny. You have to turn over the profit, and if you weren't, it was it. But just, as I said, the writing was on the wall for a while.
Yeah.
You could see it's coming, And I mean, O'Mara's now, in fairness, they brought in these people that introduced the bonus scheme at the start, and they brought them in again, and they were there up to the time it closed actually. And I was having I won't say an argument, but a few words with Michael Tinney actually. He was the secretary at the time, and these guys were there. There was 2 of them there. And I was arguing with Tinny. And he says, he's going to close this factory, says I. And it was Joe, he's doing a great job. He's a cadmium, I say. He's walking around there, say, putting signs up on the wall, no smoking. And say, child 10 years of age could do that, say. And you're paying him £1,000 a week, £1,000 a week. That was back, when did he close? When did he close it on? 1986. And says, and he wanted me to get rid of that fella, says I. What's that, says I? Excuse the language. And say, open the window and there, say, fuck him out in his head. Sure, you can't be saying things like that. I'm telling you, say, he'll close it. He'll close this place, say. So just a month later, the place is closed.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
And tell me, when you were kind of having your exchanges with the owners, manager, who was it like? Was it yourselves? Was the society? Were they outside? How did it work?
Well, the way we worked, each house had a committee. And you were 9 in the committee. You had 3 acting. So if you had 9 committee, you'd have 3 January, February, March, April. Then you put back, and the next 3 were going for the next 4 months, and the next 3 for the 4 months. And then you'd have an election again after that. And then say, I'll vote for you, and vote for you, and for you. And you had enough to count enough the votes, then very democratic, counted the votes, and top the bill. You're number 1. And you broke it up then over the year, and anything that went wrong in the factory, the 3 people, acting committee, went to management and tried to sort it out. If that failed, you look for your officers to come in. You know, they group Grovers and Mattersons as well, like, you know. You'd always have one in each factory, at least one in each factory. And they'd come in. And if that failed, you brought the transport union in.
You were transport union?
We were transport union, yeah. We were affiliated with the transport union, yeah. As well. ITGW as it was at the time. But, and I mean, it's, when you came to of course then you had the national agreements then as well. So that was all done in Dublin. You know, they'd go up to Dublin, they'd come back and say, yeah, this is it. And then the politicians, and they sat down their national agreements. And but there's you've always got some show bob out of it, like, you know. Not a lot, but there've been improvements, small improvements. And when the first time I was into Trust Bonus scheme in Ireland, it was on going and draw the heads. You'd have the heads, cure all the heads that time. You break the head with a cleaver, split the head. The heads would come off at the killing line that time. And you had a machine for washing the toes, the heads were washing that as well. And they go down then into the head house, we called it. That was refrigerated. So the following morning then, you're going and you break the heads with a cleaver. You had a cleaver and you had a block and you break the heads and take out the brain and you and you'd pump the head, just pump the head, just adapt the pittle into it and into the tanks. But there was 2 lads' job anyway, draw out the heads. So they went in, they bring in a flat truck and you'd pile them and then bring them out, maybe 50, 60, 80 heads at a time. So your members there timing them, this time of motion when he was timing, like, you know. So the lads come out and we've done it, bagged the heads, all that, like, you know. No, how much did we make there? You done well there now, you made 6pence there now. Oh, Jesus, we used to have great laughs over that. You made 6pence.
6pence, get your fare.
That was back in the day, like, that was back in 19... What year was that at all? Yeah, 66, 67. That. But it means if you'll be talking to other chaps now, and they think of things that I'm not thinking of.
Course,
you know what I mean? It happened at only factory.
Was there social events, Joe? Was there
there was.
anything that you did?
There was. We used to have a. Well, it was late years. We organised we used to have a social every year, like, you know, a dinner and a dance and a drinking session. We done that every year. We had it in Croesus Hotel, we had it in the Shannon Arms. We had it in I think we had it up in the National.
What is that?
That's the Perry now, isn't it? Just the National, and we had it up there another time. But we used to go from one place to the other, like, you know. But our best events were the retirement parties. Oh God, they were great. They were great crack together. There's Jackie now has a lot of photographs of retirement parties. And so presented the women will be presented mostly with a silver platter, you know, it's the usual thing, the tea in this together, and the men just get a wallet of notes. That's the way we used to do it.
Yeah.
And we'd have a right session then. mostly we used to have it in Jerry O'Dee's, and we had one in Clahan. We went down to the Atlunker Boat Club another year. Depends how many. I mean, say you might have 4 or 5 people together retiring at the same time. So we'd be looking for a big place.
A big party.
To cater, because we'd have all their families coming along as well, like, you know. So we'd have a good whole session. And to go to work then, the following morning, I said, Jesus, so-and-so is missing. So-and-so is missing. And they won't be here anymore.
And did people retire at a particular age, Joe, or did they kind of go on until...
People retired. I tell you the gospel truth, I worked with people that, as I said, Jack Scanlon, he was in his 70s, I think he was 74 or 5 when I was working with him. You know, you just see that time then, you don't stay a pension as such. And if you got on well with the management, you got 10 shillings a week. And if you didn't, you got nothing. If you were a bad boy, or a bald boy, you got nothing, you were just out, and so you worked away. You kept working until you couldn't work anymore. And so the chap, I was sticking pigs one day, and he came down after sticking a style. And the man that was cleaving pigs called me, Brendan O'Halloran, to go to him. Joe, you let Joe down, he says. This is Joe Business now. You let Joe down, he says, he wants to get the bus out home. I said, yes, no problem, Joe. I said, go away. All he was doing was holding the tail of the pig. When your man was cleaving, you had to hold the tail. And the man, so I came down anyway, after the killing was over, a half an hour later, like an hour or more, and there was Joe sitting down below. I thought you were going home, Joe, says I. Joe, he says, I can't tie my laces. The man couldn't stroke down to tie his laces. He was that sick, and he was sent to do a day's work. That's the way it was. You kept working
Until you couldn't.
until you were ready for 20 classes. Just is really and solely. I mean, say people retired that time didn't last no time. They worked all their lives. Just there was no pensions paid out that time.
And was there many women in there, Joe?
There wasn't a lot of women in O'Mara's now, to be honest with you. I'd say roughly 6, 8, 10. If there was 20 women, that was a lot. But there were guys, there were a guys crew as well.
And what did they do in there?
Some of them were in the sausage house. We had about maybe 6 or 8 in the sausage house. There was 2 girls then below in the wholesale shop with the men that just head out. The girls would mind all the folk then. And the rest of them then were in the gut house. And Ruth don't like the gut house. And then so they worked up there then. And that's the way. There was one chap there, and they were always at him. The women used to be trying to raise him, like, you know. I'm going to tell you something now. I shouldn't be saying it all, I suppose. But when the gut house was, when the pigs would come down the line, the vet was here, and he'd examine the bellies and the lungs. He'd examine those. And the livers went that way, and the guts went that way, into the gut house. But they'd be inside and they'd do all their work, which was terrible work now, really. But Paddy Murphy, the wobbler, we just called him, he was a fireman there, and the destructor was underneath the gut house, and he waste went into the destructor and was boiled down for animal food again. But Paddy was there one day, and they'd be all this, Paddy love, and they couldn't look out over it, they couldn't look out down on top of me and say, Paddy love. And you look now, go away from me. You know, he was a big strong man, like, you know. Paddy love, you do this and you do that. And he says, look at you. He says, if I had a barrel full of Mickeys full of syphilis, I wouldn't give you one of them. No, we took offence to it. You've written up print that.
No, too good to miss.
But that was going on all the time, like, there's a day wouldn't pass, but there'd be some kind of a quip like that, like,
And tell me, like, say, then between, say, the men and women working on the floor, say, and the management or the office, was there a kind of a banter there at all, or were they more separate?
No, not really. Like, there was a few of the girls that were nice. The younger girls were nice now, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the older ones were kind of, tell you a good one. There was one that, I never did tell you her name or not, no, she used to, mistakes, she used to the wages, you see, and if you were out sick, you'd have to bring up the certificate and produce a certificate, like, when she was sick. There was one lad there, and he went up one day, he had a certificate, and he had a kind of a habit now of certificate, like, and he comes up anyway, and she says to him, Vinny, she says, I heard this one, I wasn't married at all, like, she was, I heard you're donating your body to science, she says, and he looks at them and he says, before time you donated your body to someone. Exactly. She was very sarcastic like that, you see. She was a sarcastic woman, and I am well with her. I seem to get on well with everybody for some reason. But he flipped us there away. I was 10 years a man about one leg, wasn't I?
No, what
To hear that.
There was one chap, he worked with us, and he had one eye. And another chap, he had one leg. The man with one leg now, he done clerical work, just in case he was going up killing pigs. But the guy with the one eye was a young Munster supporter, and the man with the one leg was a Garryowen supporter. And Munster and Garryowen, they'd have to play no side in Thomond Park, and Munster hammered Garryowen, you see. So we were bailing on the Monday morning, and of course, Vinny, the one eye, he was waiting for Dom to come along, you see. So Dom hobbles along, and the crowd, you see, he comes up, and of course, as soon as Vinny saw him, he sat this, hey, come on, Munster, come on. And Dom came up, they had a banter in between, like, and eventually Vinny got the better of him. And Dom says, Vinny, I have the leg to stand on. He says, and Vinny ignores it, and I have the eye to see you.
Okay.
We're supposed to be talking about butchering.
I'm sure this is it.
But that's been done all the time, like. But after the top of my head, no, I can't think of anything at the moment.
We'll get you again if you're willing. Yeah, you're brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Very good.
It's brilliant.
Thanks, Jo.
It's brilliant.
No problem.
So listen, we're going to record it that we'll nab you again, so you have no escape.
Yeah, that's very good.
Brilliant, Joe. Thanks a million.
No problem.
Thanks a million.